Welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into a topic that can make or break your team's success with new tools and technology, strategic enablement. We're joined by a special guest, Civitas Learning's Director of Strategic Enablement, Stephanie Smith Euting, who plays a critical role in supporting our customers from onboarding to long-term success. We'll hear about her background, her approach to enabling teams, and the difference between simply training people and truly enabling them to succeed. We'll also explore the common mistakes teams make when rolling out new software, practical tips for helping you strategically enable your team, what kind of support leaders should expect from software vendors, and plenty of real-world insights to help you turn software adoption into real impact. Whether you're a leader rolling out new technology or someone passionate about helping teams thrive, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe to the show to stay up to date on the latest and data-informed approaches to student impact. Well, Stephanie, I'm so excited that you're here today. Welcome to Next Practices. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here and have this conversation.
So I have given a little intro before our conversation, but I want to give you a chance to share a bit about who you are, your background, and your current role supporting customers at Civitas Learning.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been in, higher education, working with data, this ed tech space, um, just shy of 20 years. I've worked with educational technologies. I've also worked at a handful of institutions as well. And throughout that journey, have just always really been kind of a data geek and like pride myself of that. Um, I've also worked with many different types of institutions and um, helped kind of define what success looks like in all ways, shapes, and form with data to inform that, but also being able to, um, you know, make plans and drive towards the data people want to be able to capture and utilize in their strategies. So I've been with Civitas Learning for 4 years now. Um, I served in the director of customer development role um, for the last 4 years before moving into this role as the director of strategic enablement. So I'm really excited to be able to take my knowledge and my experience of what I know from working with customers, the customer journeys, what's worked, what's not worked, and really apply it to strategic enablement and again help people uh, not just be successful but also thrive with their data and with their tools.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how you grow with this role. I think it's a really great opportunity for our customers to get the most out of their investment in Civitas Learning. I know just for our audience, the term strategic enablement, training, professional development, all get thrown around, but I want to really define those terms specifically for this conversation. And I know you have a point of view on that. So will we define strategic enablement and how is it different than training or point and click training that many folks might be used to?
Yeah, absolutely. So think I'm going to start with the easy one, right? Training is teaching someone how to use the tool, right? So point and click, functional training. How do we find this data point? How do we see this information about a student? Where do we go to send an email? That is training. That's all critical, right? You have to know how to use your software tools. That's like step one in being successful. So think of training as more functional, quick and point, being educated on what to do and where to go to within the technology you're using. Then there's strategic enablement, and that's taking it one step further and anchoring your knowledge in use cases, anchoring your knowledge in strategies that maybe say your strategic priorities at your institution, uh, being able to think about how to use the data and how to use the tools in a way that allows for um, just ongoing success, if you will. And part of that to put something tangible to it, right, is thinking about how to keep your uh, keep your staff, your teams engaged. Right. I always say like there's adoption of a tool and then there's usage of a tool. So leadership will say, yes, we're going to use this tool moving forward for XYZ reasons. And then it's up to right the users then to use it to be successful, to move the needle. And enablement helps guide that as well.
Yeah, it's really important. I think it's often a missed opportunity at institutions. Anybody who's watched the shows know I worked in higher ed for 15 years and I use a lot of different technologies. And in my experience, most of the time you have like a train the trainer model, you learn functional point and click training, and then that's kind of where it stops. And then you're left to your own devices.
Yeah. Or after those training sessions, right? You see everyone's really excited and they go out and use the tools for a little bit. And then sometimes we see folks revert back to their old kind of habits or workflows or just what they're used to. And that's there's ways to I guess overcome that. Yeah.
Yeah. Where do you think most people go wrong when they are preparing their teams to use software? And I would like maybe even reframe that questions, kind of setting us up for failure in that we were thinking about it only at the front end of the experience. And maybe that's a place where we go wrong. I might have answered my own question, but I want to hear what you have to say too.
Yeah. So um making the thinking from like the beginning of the process, right, is making sure you have the right people in the room, the right teams combined, the right leaders and users working together to understand the why. Like we hear this all the time, right? Like the why. Yes, the why is to help support students, but really like the why and really defining what that why is specifically for your institution. And making sure that your people have quick wins established so that they feel confident, right, in their not just really their not just the software, like not just the software, but in their actions and in their abilities to really support students. And then not having a plan for ongoing learning, whether that's learning your own data changes over time, um, learning different strategies, learning about things changing in higher education, having opportunities, ongoing learning opportunities, and then having the ability to practice and do the work um, before they do the work. Um, and thinking that in a long term setting as well, right? What are those long term goals? Where are you trying to achieve there? Kind of coming up with that step by step strategy ahead of time at the forefront really allows you to be successful. Um, Instead of just thinking in the near term of, "All right, we gotta get folks trained on it. Okay, go." No, you need to have a plan and a strategy in place. Um, and as I know that sounds like can sound like a big lift, right? Change management in general can be a really big lift. But what I really love about strategic enablement is uh, supporting those strategies and having us Civitas Learning help you do that because we really want to be in your partner in this, and when we can really help guide you through that process, we can work together to be successful.
Yeah, and I think one thing too is folks sometimes wanna do everything all at once, like, they see the
Mhm.
potential of what the solutions may offer, and, it can be daunting to figure out where to get started, and I think taking, like, a crawl, walk, run approach can be really helpful. Have you seen something similar?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, everything all at once, right? So it's master of all things. So um, with providing quick wins, there's quick wins in each of those categories, right? So you have making sure your teams um, just feel comfortable with their tools and help right with the efficiency of their workflows. So I'm thinking of advising here, right? We know that advisors have a lot of work to do, and they, as much as we would love to be proactive, don't always get that opportunity. A student comes into your office, they need help right away. you're pulling up their information and you're seeing what they need, right? So being able to have help support your teams with those quick wins of, okay, I have to do this right now. Here's everything I need. That's a quick win. They're feeling great. They're feeling comfortable with the information they have at hand. Um, I see the next level, right, of that as utilizing some of the data. So, right, as folks become more comfortable with using the tools, creating efficiencies in their process for themselves, take it one step further with that proactive nature of, all right, let's use some of the prediction scores, predictive analytics to say what kinds of conversations do I need to have with these students? Are they engaging in the LMS? Are they enrolling within a time period that we see students persist to the next term more frequently? Utilizing those type of insights to help guide those conversations with students, and then also utilizing data points to be able to identify the students for some of that proactive outreach or uh, looking at how they interact with various courses if you're helping plan that student's uh, academic journey. So there's start with the easy steps of efficiency, tool utilization, and then layer in data points, but layer in the level of sophistication behind the data points and how to apply it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can build from there, give yourself
Yep.
like a trajectory or a strategy that you can work towards as people become more and more familiar with the tools and they become more integrated into their workflows. I thought that what you said is people like are gung ho and then they kind of revert back to their old ways because it's like any other habit behavior. It takes time and to some extent like repetition to get to it. It can be easy to kind of slip back into old habits.
Yeah, and that's why that can the continuing education piece I mentioned earlier also is really important because you are trying to set this maybe you're trying to set this new culture across campus or you want to approach your student support in a different way and it's only natural that people need reminders of what that looks like. But also when you have that ongoing learning, right? That's where innovation comes from and that's where creative ideas are born. So it's just because you are working either with this same tools or data set, but in a different way, doesn't doesn't mean that you cannot find different outcomes or different goals to work towards. And really, that's why workshops are so important. I genuinely do believe that, and that's something that I'm really excited for here in strategic enablement at Civitas Learning because it's a place for um, either if you have a workshop on campus for your people to come together, maybe have conversations they wouldn't have otherwise, look at data points, insights, see how different departments roles collaborate with one another, but also are workshops that we hold annually where Civitas Learning partner institutions come together and collaborate, share ideas, talk about what's happening within higher education, and continue that ongoing learning piece. Like, yes, Civitas Learning is the anchor in that, right? Either utilizing those tools or utilizing the tools in both examples, but it also keeps the data fresh, I would say, in your mind.
Yeah, I was gonna have you talk a little bit more about that. You mentioned earlier the importance of partnership with your vendor. And Civitas Learning has a variety of ways that we partner with folks, but I think that I've seen different customers and institutions have internal processes for supporting ongoing professional development and strategic enablement. And then I also know that partnering with us, with Civitas Learning or with your vendor, if it's with a different software solution, can be really powerful as well. And that there are different um, quality of that engagement depending on who you're working with. So, what kinds of services and support should leaders really expect or look for when working with their vendors?
Yeah. So, um, I think first and foremost, the human aspect of it too, right? Especially in this day and age of technology. And with as in my role of director of customer development, before moving into this role, um, something that I really think is special and unique is, and I say it all the time, is we have a deep bench here at Civitas Learning, right? We have um, a lot of really great professionals who have that higher education experience that can pull on their own experience and apply it really to any scenario, whether it's strategy conversation or just bringing your teams together. Um, we're just talking about, meeting with an advisor and getting their feedback and talking about what happened that week for whatever reason. So being able to have someone that you can lean on for support through strategic services, guidance, and just having that level of uh, industry experience, I think is really important, and having that live human there to help support you. Um, Also, the having a strong community of practice and customer or partner institution collaboration, I think, is also important, because then you're able to connect with other voices, other institutions, to share your real live lived experiences, and being able to have those opportunities, quite honestly, on a frequent basis, really helps again with that knowledge sharing, innovation kind of concept of, as we continue to learn from one another and share our experiences, we just helps kind of drive us to the next level. Um, and then I would also say, um, it's this is kind of twofold, where it's like technology that keeps up with the times, but also to help you keep up with the times, right? So thinking about how um, the evolution of AI, right? We're all talking about that. That's great. Um, how do we utilize that with student success tools? Well, we're here to support you in figuring out, right, how we're going to utilize that. Are we going to train your staff on that? What's the plan to make sure we're going to use any AI insights within any type of technology tools, to really help your institution reach its goals? So just staying along that cutting edge collaboration, and look for a vendor or partner who um, is going to help put that in place. And saying vendor, like, that feels weird to me, to be honest, because I feel like the institutions that I worked with here, they really have been partners. Like, they really have been partners, and I don't know. I just had to say that because I think that goes to the level of kind of, I guess, commitment that we have towards our partners here.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of sums it up, right? You wanna look for someone who's gonna be a partner,
Hmm.
and who that you are all like, strategic enablement is not a one and done thing, it's an ongoing thing,
Correct.
and so making sure that you have the support and pieces in place to be able to do that, and, opportunities to engage with a broader community of practice, I think is also extremely important, and not just to hear about the latest best practices and research, but to hear really true applied strategy and
Hmm.
how folks are solving these problems and thinking about them and being able to exchange and walk away with actions you can take, I think is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is right. What actions can you take away and go apply tomorrow? That's the key of it all.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
we had a really great conversation about strategic enablement. And I always end each episode giving the floor to our guests to ask if there's anything else you would like to cover off on, or anything I should have asked you, anything that folks should need to know, parting words that we didn't get to cover in our conversation today.
Any parting words? With strategic enablement, it really is not one size fits all, right? You think about training, everybody who's utilizing the tool, no matter what your institution is like, is going to click the same way to do take the same type of action. With strategic enablement, it allows us to really hone in on institutional priorities, the uniqueness of your institution, how make a plan for your types of students, your types of teams, and it's not a one size fits all approach. And I think that's really important to share, especially right as we're thinking about strategic enablement as this ongoing opportunity to allow your institutions, your people, your processes to be successful and thrive.
Yeah, that's such an important point. I'm so glad you brought it up because, yeah, the way you use a tool, the like steps to use it appropriately or effectively might be the same, but the way you apply it is going to
Mhm.
depend on the project or the job at hand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for coming on Next Practices. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Katie.